Welcome to a Fate and Football Draftkings lineup review for Week 3, 2017. I'm going to be reviewing one of my lineups, actually my cash game lineup, along with the cash game lineup of CSU Ram 88, a well-known pro in the daily fantasy circles, and he also is one of the owners of fantasylabs.com, which is a lineup building tool for daily fantasy sports. So let's dive in. So my lineup this week decided to pay down at quarterback. Went with Deshaun Kaiser in Cleveland, playing Indiana. Despite being on the road, it's felt like a really good spot. Ended up working out, even though a good chunk of those points came in the last minute, but they all count, so we'll take it. I went with Jay Ajayi instead of Kareem Hunt. He was a little bit cheaper, just barely, and it felt like he was in a really good position going up against New York, who had been the New York Jets, who had been a sieve to the run game against their other opponents this year. And Miami looked poised to just give Jay Ajayi the ball like they did in the first game. So I thought it was a spot that he was just going to smash and score a lot of points, but didn't quite work out. Went with Le'Veon Bell. Just decided to pay up. I thought he was the safest choice. Didn't really disappoint. I mean, it wasn't a vintage Le'Veon Bell smash game, but 22 points is going to be a good score and definitely help the lineup. So I'm glad I put him in there. Went with Devontae Adams. Again, Randall Cobb was out. I think I talked about in my picks video. And Jordy Nelson had been hurting. Turned out Jordy had a big day, and Devontae Adams didn't. Also, Geronimo Allison, their third receiver, filling in for Cobb, had a monster day with a 70-yard run in overtime. So that was frustrating to see. It was a frustrating game to watch. They only targeted Devontae Adams 6 times, and I mean, if you got a touchdown, it would have been a pretty good day, I guess, but still frustrated. Rashard Higgins had gotten 10 targets the week before. He looked again like he was set up well going into Indiana, and they just did not throw him the ball too much. He got 6 targets. Didn't really get much going. Kenny Britt seemed to get most of the action. He got 10 targets. That's kind of what you get when you're playing a low price guy. You don't always know what you're going to get. Seemed like a good choice, but didn't quite pan out. Next, I went with Demaryius Thomas. Both him and Emmanuel Sanders have been getting all of the targets in Denver. Seemed like a great situation where that he would continue to get lots of targets, and he was just too cheap. I guess it ended up working out almost. He got 98 yards and 6 receptions, but problem was that was on 15 targets. So if he'd caught a few more balls, or if he caught one more ball, we would have got the 3-point bonus plus an extra catch, and it would have been an over 20-point day for DT. Jared Cook was open constantly in this game, but Derek Carr just refused to throw him the ball, and he only ended up with 4 receptions and a touchdown, which for the dumpster fire that tight end was this week, really only Gronk and Ertz had better days. So all in all, it was pretty good, but would definitely take it from a $3,000 player. Ty Montgomery, I've been playing him every week. I think he's just in such a great spot, and he's been underpriced. Price is slowly starting to catch up, but he's still good. I think he's still a good value, probably for at least 1 or 2 more weeks before we have to start considering a little more carefully. Went with the Eagles defense. They were going up against New York and the Giants, who have been awful on offense, but they played a little better. And the Eagles just had the 2 INTs and didn't manage any sacks. So kind of frustrating there, but again, they were a cheap defense, so not too much to expect. So this is CSU Ram 88's lineup. It's from a four-man tournament that they post on Twitter with Adam Levitan, Al Smizzle, and the winner of their listener league. So I'm not sure if this is the cash lineup he was playing everywhere, but when I was looking at some of the contests, this looks pretty similar. For quarterback, he went with Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton was in a pretty prime bounce back spot. Made against Green Bay is just woeful secondary, so made a lot of sense. And 16 points, I mean, that's not a total disaster. Le'Veon Bell, Ty Montgomery, we talked about both of those. Pretty chalky plays. You can see in this draft, 3 out of the 4 players had them. Devontae Adams, I'm assuming he following similar logic to myself, but didn't really work out. Deshaun Jackson, I thought was an interesting play. Usually he is more of a tournament play. Also, too, going up against Minnesota, I thought who's typically tough for wide receivers. I thought that was an interesting choice, but obviously he's a sharp player, and there's obviously something new, and Deshaun Jackson ended up going off. So interesting play there. I thought that was a different take. Also, too, I guess Deshaun Jackson was very cheap, so if he did have a big day or one good day, one big catch, he could make value. Brandon LaFell, a lot of people were on him. I wasn't. I just didn't really see owning the second receiver against a struggling on a struggling offense. Brandon LaFell's never really been very good, so I just didn't think that he had a lot of upside for a cheaper guy. Zach Ertz, again, had a big day. Seems like we're saying this every week. 8 receptions, 55 receiving yards, and a touchdown. So almost 20 points again for Zach Ertz. So he's just been out crushing after the. So yeah, he's been basically their number one receiver. CSU Ram 88 on brand, going with Amari Cooper. He's definitely an Amari Cooper fanboy, but Amari Cooper did not help him out. 1 reception for 6 yards. I had a lot of Amari Cooper in tournaments. I did a bunch of Washington stacks and then ran it back with Amari Cooper and Crabtree, and it did not work out. Eagles defense, again, I think just the price. He was thinking the same thing. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe. We'll be coming out with our week 4 picks here soon. And also we've got a play draft strategy video coming out soon. So look out for that. If you don't want to miss them, hit the subscribe button. Thank you.